welcome to what hopefully is the fifth. Have we done this 5 times or 6 times? This is number 6, I think. We had so many rehearsals, 6, to Scottish Watches Live on a Friday afternoon. We're a bit delayed by half an hour or so because I had to take a dog to the vet. But for all those concerned, the dog is now fine. We have a few people here today, some of the usual suspects. We have one not so usual suspect, and we are still waiting on 1 or 2 others to join us. But starting from the top, tell us who you are, where you are, and what you have on the wrist. So Zach, you're up first.
Hi guys, I'm Zach. You can find my Instagram right here. It's at Watchtower, where the A is a 4 and the E is a 3. And today I'm wearing my Corona Mori on a Robert Dale Hermes strap. It's got like a jungle print.
Very cool. So, next up on my screen is Sophie.
Hello everyone, I'm Sophie Rindler, live from Miami. And I'm just wearing a Daytona today because why the hell not?
Because you're in Miami and the sun is shining. Very good. It's all right for some. And next up is Sean.
Hi guys, I'm Sean, the complicated wrist with all those pesky underscores that I regret. Today I'm wearing the Omega Speedmaster because it's a week with a Tuesday, so I think there was a Speedmaster that came out this week. So.
Yeah, I think that might get a mention. That's what Dave is on to do. He's on to defend it. Defend the indefensible. Right, next up on my screen is Ralph.
Hi, Ralph. My handle is here. Oops, here. Coolpep_watches. The O's are O's, the A's are A's, and I'm live from Dubai. And I'm wearing Omega Speedmaster 300 Professional, blah 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 blah, with Setna gold. That might be interesting later.
Very good, very good. And Gigi, where are you and what are you wearing?
Hello, Gigi. Time to talk _watches from Milan, Italy, and I'm wearing my Seiko Samurai with an orange strap, which I pulled off a Rick's watch, Ricky's watch. And I'm wearing it because I need a water-resistant watch because I'm sweating. So, you know, I don't want to get my watch ruined. So I need something at least, 200 meters water resistance.
Good stuff. And then our guest this week is the mighty, the one, the only David Sharp, float light himself. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Not bad. Where are you? Where are you? Are you south or north?
Oh, you disappeared. Where am I? I'm currently I'm in Glasgow at the moment.
In Glasgow, very good, very good.
I am.
What are you wearing?
I am wearing a Louis Arand Alan Silvestrian regulator.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Interesting.
And then, better late than never, he can unmute himself while I'm talking. Derek, where are you? What are you wearing?
I'm Derek in Brooklyn, New York. Today I'm wearing the Aqua Dive Poseidon GMT.
Cool.
And sorry I'm a little late.
No problem. And I am obviously wearing a Panerai somewhere in Scotland. So there you go. So it has been, it's not been quite the week that it was last week with travel clocks and all of that. But there has been 1 or 2 releases this week and some business stuff and some interesting things to talk about. So we will start with probably this week's, thing we're going to not abuse because it's not quite in the same level, but we will start with Omega, and I still don't know the proper pronunciation of this. Does somebody wish to? This isn't a blog to watch. Does somebody wish to tell me? Is this pronounced Alingi?
So if it's
Alingi.
Italian,
It's Alingi. Alingi.
Alingi. Right.
No, Alingi.
Alingi. Is that the official?
Yeah.
That's the official from Sophie. So there you go. So this is
Gigi would know.
Yeah, Gigi.
Yeah, Alingi. Alingi. But if it's Italian, I don't know the name, but if it were an Italian name, it's Alingi.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We'll go with that then.
I have to Google that while we look.
So this is Omega doing a moon watch for yacht racing, basically. Who would like to take us away on this one? Zach, give us an opinion.
I mean, at the end of the day, I actually do know a few people who have swam with their moon watches, although it's something I personally wouldn't recommend. So I'm sure it holds up. But if you're not the kind of person who can, regularly service a watch like that, I would not recommend taking it on a yacht. But then again, if you can afford a yacht, then you can probably afford to service the watch. So, you know.
That's a good point.
We'll buy another one.
Yeah,
you just get a
exactly.
new one every time you fall in.
Yeah, I think that's a
I
reasonable point.
personally don't really understand the story. You know, I don't understand the DNA here. I'm not sure why they did that. It didn't speak to me. I like the model though. I do like the watch. I think the watch is cool.
Yeah,
And
the watch is not.
Yeah, the watch is really neat. But I just don't understand the association, the Alinghi, the yachting, and the moon. I don't know. Are you gonna?
So as I
Swim to the
understand
moon?
it, Alinghi are a Swiss yacht maker, which
Yeah.
considering Switzerland is a landlocked country, maybe this is appropriate that a watch designed for the moon is used for yachting in a country that makes yachts that's also landlocked.
We've got lakes.
We've got Lake Geneva where they keep their navy.
Come on, I mean, they've got some water, haven't they? I mean,
So Dave, you are the Omega Speedmaster. You are the go-to man. Give us your lowdown on this.
You know, on the face of it, for sure, it's a strange model to choose for what they're using it for. Because ultimately, let's be honest, it's a sponsorship piece at the end of the day that they happen to also sell. Yeah, I mean, the bits about it that I find strange are, or that I don't find strange. The Speedmaster, obviously, pre-Moon, its heritage was racing in cars and, you know, speed. So okay, it's speed racing on boats. So you can kind of see some alignment there to a certain extent. It's tenuous, but it's there. You know, why they've not removed the dark side from the moon on it, I don't get. I think that's just a bit strange, frankly. You know, they could just have removed that altogether. There's no reason to have it at the end of the day. The other question though is, you know, they also sponsor other teams and they use Planet Oceans and such like. What we don't know is whether they have got a sign up or any kind of agreement that that's the only piece that they'll use for those teams. So, you know, what we don't know is what's going on in the background. You know, on the face of it though, it does strike you as a bit of an unusual piece as well. I mean, aside from the fact it's also got a leather strap, which is a bit weird as well. You know, nothing about it particularly associates itself with water other than the speed aspect of it being a kind of, you know, time and chronograph. That's it. It's a bit of a weird one, but hey, they're Swiss watch companies. They're not known for rational decisions making. So,
and it even comes in a
please
small
don't
box.
coming in, Dave. When are you getting yours?
it doesn't. It actually doesn't do anything for me aesthetically either. No, not particularly. I mean,
I can see that. I can understand.
The Apollo 8, which, you know, to be fair, it's very closely related to. I do have, and I like it. I don't know.
Like an Omega.
It's not even that. As a general rule, I don't buy watches that are just monetizing a sponsorship piece. If they wanted to do that as a piece to give to the team to use to get advertorial or to get kind of seen on the telly or used for pictures, whatever, fine. I'm not big into buying anything, watches or anything else for that matter, that have got someone's logo plastered all over it for the purposes of sponsorship. Okay, a little logo, you know, Nike shoes with a Nike flash, whatever, that's fine. But I don't buy things that are coated in logos as sponsorship pieces, and I don't make that exception particularly for, well, not particularly, I don't make that exception for watches either. You know, I do like they did the blue, I think it was a blue ceramic Planet Ocean they did for the New Zealand team a few years ago, which was a great looking watch. And actually the only sponsorship markings were on the case back of it. There was nothing on the dial, and it was a great looking watch, good color scheme. But I didn't buy it out of principle for the fact that it had the New Zealand team stamping all over the back of it. And okay, when you're wearing it, you won't see it. But I just didn't buy it for that reason.
I just think that this kind of partnership, to me, Alinghi specifically, it just doesn't work with Omega. I mean, you have to keep in mind that the previous partnerships were done with Audemars Piguet and HYT, and those are kind of trendy fashion brands, even though AP can be seen as, you know, traditional, but it's still a fashion because it was not the right look, of course, it was offshore. And then HYT makes sense because of the whole water thing, and it's super modern and independent, and okay, but Omega, and then bringing the moon into it, I don't get it. But that was
so, Sophie, does it not make sense because it's Omega, or does it not make sense because it's Speedmaster? Wouldn't it make sense if it was a Seamaster?
I was just going to say that.
If it was a Seamaster, that would be very different. Because I think it would have given a modern touch to Omega. Yes, it would have been a sponsorship, sure, to David's point, but it would have been something that, in my opinion, would have made more sense and would have a logic to it and would have followed. Right. If the offshore can do it the way they did it, which was a really nice collaboration, but also like a 60 grand piece of watch, if I remember correctly. I think the Seamaster, then yes, that would totally make sense.
I think the other thing this is that it's also in a small box. What's going on, Omega?
It's saving money.
What happened? Yeah.
The other thing that doesn't make a lot of sense is it's got a tachymeter scale on it that's it's not in knots. If you're going to make it for a yacht, surely you would put this into nautical numbers, but there you go.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
Having a tachymeter on a yacht is completely useless.
I would have done screwed down crowns and pushers. If you go underwater, you want it to be screwed down. You don't want to have those little vintagey pushers that are gonna get the water in. If you
maybe that whole box is waterproof and you just have to leave it in the box.
you strap
the box on your wrist. Yeah,
you strap it in your waist.
With the watch being ceramic and you're on a yacht racing team, don't you get slammed around a lot? Like, what happens if you slam the watch into one of the booms or something? Like, won't the watch just shatter anyway? Like,
nothing makes sense.
I think probably the most relevant point is, yes, if you own a yacht, you can probably afford to break this and buy another one. It's probably
especially when you're getting given them for nothing.
Yeah, true. Yes. Is this a limited edition?
I don't think
that would make sense.
I've not read it, and you'll probably find it won't be numbered.
No.
It probably won't be numbered. They'll probably make one batch of them though and stick them out, and that'll be it.
I mean, I do quite like the look of it, but it just doesn't fit the story that they're trying to tell.
And you mentioned the price already, right? It's only 10,000.
It's 10,000.
Same price as Apollo 8.
10.8, so
which is
about $1,000 premium. This is saying, but
that's because that's been just announced. Let's just say come September. Don't be surprised if the Apollo 8 matches that price.
That increases. So there we go. So
it's an Apollo price. It's a price rise for all Omegas coming in September.
Right. Okay.
That must be the reason why they
not small.
That must be the reason why they didn't remove the dark side of the moon. There you go.
To be honest, why they didn't remove it, who knows? But the reason they've not removed it probably is because at the end of the day, that whole series, that's what it's known as. That series is the Dark Side of the Moon. That is the sub-series of the ceramic Speedmaster. So I think it's one of those things.
Is it the same back? Is it the same back, Dave? Exactly the same. I haven't seen a Apollo 8.
Yeah, I mean it's the same back in terms of how it's constructed, but the engraving and the layout of the text on the kind of bezel of the case back is different. So it's not as if they've just used
pulled it off the parts bin.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as if it's just an Apollo 8 part, because Apollo 8 one does say Apollo 8 etc. on it as well, and that one obviously has got the team logo on it, or the team wording on it as well.
So to Derek's point, real quick, I just want to point out that I think this is kind of a missed opportunity to promote the Omega Seamaster chronograph line, because the Speedmaster already has so many different limited editions, and it's really world renowned, whether on social media or just for watch wearers. So I think it would have been a better idea to almost push the Seamaster Chrono that has that water resistance, because I don't think it's the most popular line for them currently, and it could have been like a good push for them.
Yeah, and it's not they've got ceramic, titanium, and steel within that range as well. So it's not as if they've not got the materials.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's move on from that to a slightly more independent.
See what you did there. It's called the Independence now.
Transition.
Oh, so it is. I'm so clever. I don't even know it. There we go. So
that says it all, Rick.
Yeah, it does. To be fair, I'm just glad Ricky's not here. This is the Norqain. Now, I think the biggest thing and talking point about this watch is the fact that this is this the first movement out of Kinesi?
It's the first collab movement.
KNSI, or however it's the first collab. Who can give us a background on just exactly what KNSI are, who they are, and what they are? Any volunteers? Or I pick a victim.
My understanding is they are the manufacturing partner of Tudor for movement. Simple as that.
Yeah.
They make all the current Tudor movements or their own in-house movements.
I think
And
owns a big stake in it as well. I think their stakeholder, 60% stakeholders. I think. I don't remember.
There's Tudor, Breitling, and Chanel.
Right. Exactly.
And now Norqain.
So what do we think of this? 2,900 or 2,290 quid. 70 20. It's not an independent, right here. This limited edition. How many is it limited to? I don't think it tells.
I think it's a cool, solid.
That's 200.
Tool watch. Yeah, I think it's a cool, solid tool watch. I just wish that they had gone into something a little more original in design.
Correct.
Because they're using their own caliber, which is really cool. But I feel it's a watch that looks a lot like many watches, and
yeah.
But I like it. It's a cool watch, and the price is right.
I was talking about it with a few friends last night when the pictures popped, and to be honest, all anyone could say about it was it's just another watch.
Yeah. I know, and I think it's too bad because
and green is not the most common dial color still, and you can do some great things with green, but I just don't. There's nothing. There's no kind of point of uniqueness about it. It's got too many.
I agree.
And actually at the price point as well. Okay, yeah, there's lots of nice things about it. Movement, it is a slightly different case. There's lots of things about it, but there's nothing about it that makes it stand out, and it's playing in a pretty competitive ballpark price wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, two to 3 grand. There's a lot of stuff out there.
A lot of stuff,
I mean, there's so much stuff out there that's got a much, and the problem with that price point is that for a lot of people, Joe Blogs that buys a watch doesn't typically spend that on a watch. They spend 500 to 1,000 on a watch, just Joe average. People buying a watch at that level, it's either their first into watch and they want a name that someone knows. So they'll buy Tudor or Tag or something like that because they've heard the name and other people hear the name. And a lot of kind of watch folk who are into watches won't necessarily play in that ballpark. They start to move up from that ballpark. So it's kind of, I think it will fall into no man's land personally. I think that's the real danger of that price point.
To Sophie's point about blending sort of styles, the lugs almost look like Oyster Perpetual lugs to me. The case is almost like a blend between the Nautilus and the Odysseus in feel. And so it's just a smorgasbord of... Yeah.
But I think they have a great distribution setup. I can see them at a lot of ADs already in the showroom windows. Norqain is there. Surprising.
But it doesn't mean that there is deep sell-through.
Well, I was going to say the question we don't know though is, they might have a lot of dealers, but if all those dealers are on APRO, then it's really easy to get. You can get watches into dealers if you want.
Right.
It depends how you do it. If you convince dealers to put their hand in their pocket and buy stock, that's a whole different game. But lots of brands will play the APRO game and just go, okay, you'll be a dealer, we'll put the watches in for you, and if they don't sell in 6 months, we'll take them back out. That's easiest to get a lot of dealers, and I would struggle to think they'll have many dealers who will be ponying up their own money to buy this for stock, frankly.
I have to check because I've seen them in some dealers who have really nice brands, and they have them in the window, which is limited space, and so that means that maybe they're just expecting to sell a lot, or they see that as a, or maybe they have a really nice profit margin in the watches. I don't know.
Maybe there's a package deal with Tudor.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, because it's also the whole Rolex distributor in all of the UAE. Yeah. So they are the distributor for Norqain as well. So it means there's probably something behind it. But I agree. For that price, I think it's hard as a newcomer to sell at that price point.
I mean, if it was me and you said, okay, there's you've got 2,300 whatever UK to buy a kind of nice stainless steel sports watches, I'd buy, for example, a Doxa 300 over that all day long, because it's similarly technically spec'd and it's more unique and it's definitely more identifiable. And okay, it's not a name that a lot of folk know, in the open market, but it's such a more unique piece than that to me.
It's not a terribly pretty movement, considering
nothing from Rolex.
Yeah, I agree, Rick.
There's not
I
a
was
lot
thinking
going
the
on.
same thing. No,
that is the exact movement basically that's in the Black Bay 58.
It's
it just doesn't have a silicone hairspring.
Right.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you can ask them a question on live on their website. Anyone got a good question we can ask? let's pester them live. You're live on YouTube. What would you like to say?
How many have you sold so far?
How much more do you need to pay Rolex to get into the silicon club?
Yeah, so we ask, let's just see if we get an answer as to why it's not got a silicon hairspring. Why did you not go for
You can reword that. On the basis that Swatch watches at less than £100 now feature silicon springs, can you explain why your new watch?
Considering...
Do we want to wait for him to type all that out?
Yeah, I can say Swatch watches at 100. Oh, something's happened.
Oh no!
There was some divine intervention.
Yeah. We'll start by typing and we'll just go for that. Why did you not go for it? Let's see if anybody answers.
Can I ask a question?
Leave that sitting in the background. Go on.
Let me ask a question while we wait for this response. Does anybody know what the specific relationship is between Norqain, Tudor, and Hennessy? Like, is this going to be a movement that other people are going to be able to use, or does anybody know?
I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a modular movement. At the end of the day, like don't let them kid you on with we've got our own unique movement. It's as has been said, it's basically exactly the same movement that's in the 58 bar the hairspring. This movement specifically, that'll probably only be for them. But there'll be derivatives of that left, right, and center within Breitlings and Tudors and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I just meant from a licensing standpoint.
Right.
Like, will they be open and available for micro brands?
There's a guy.
No, I don't think so.
There's a guy in the chat who's saying, if you're reading the chat, there's a guy Neo who's saying that Fortis will be using their movements as well. So it may just be that it's kind of branching out. Kind of hedging their bets. So Fortis. That's what he said. I haven't substantiated. It's in the chat.
And I heard this before. I think that's Norqain and Hennessy are 50 kilometers away from each other, so they're neighbors.
We have a hello from Emmanuel at Norqain on the live chat, but he's not said anything else yet, so I'll just take him off screen share just in case. But while he's thinking about what he says, this isn't actually on the agenda, but just because we're talking slightly about derivative stuff, I don't know who has already heard the podcast this morning.
I did.
When we spoke about this little number from eDocs and how many different watches we could think that this looks like. So I don't know if anyone's got any advance on Zenith, Hublot.
That's a DeFi, yes.
No, it's like it's a nonsense watch. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's like, go away. That is a car crash.
Like, exactly.
Maurice Lacroix.
There's some Maurice Lacroix in there as well. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So bad.
So there we
maybe
go.
I'm trying not to swear.
Maybe they are following the advice of there is no bad PR. NPR.
They haven't watched this show. So there we go. That's the steel one, which looks even more Zenithy, but it's also got this whole multi-link, which is
it's got Zenith. It's got Zenith AP. It's got all sorts of shit written all over it.
And look at the small movement and the spacer. You can see the spacer. It just doesn't make sense.
So bad.
All right. Okay. We have Emmanuel who is giving us.
You're getting chapter and verse from him.
Well, we're getting an answer. I'm not sure I understand the answer, but I think I probably didn't expect to understand the answer. I'll share it, seeing as he is there. So it says the NN20 caliber has a Nivarox hairspring, which is high quality of the movement.
Oh, that's ETA.
That's ETA,
Yeah.
So what's that? So this is the.
It's ETA. It's owned by ETA, Nivarox. It's just like a regular hairspring.
So Nivarox is a proprietary brand of steel from ETA.
Which is so that is a steel. So Nivarox is steel. It's not some
It's
fancy other name for silicone.
No, Nivarox is like a steel, but it's on a balanced spring weight, so that it's got anti-shock as well. But they're actually they are decent. They're just not silicone.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Good.
Yeah. So say thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
There we go. So we'll move on from Norqain to some business news, or not so much news as a wee discussion point. Hodinkee ran this article, is the worst over for the Swiss watch industry? Obviously, the Swiss watch industry and lots of economies in the world are in free fall. I think the States yesterday showed their GDP down 35%. So
the worst is yet to come.
Yeah, I don't think the worst is.
Oh no, the worst hasn't even come close to getting there yet. Too many economies have been propped up. The US, to be honest, got it pretty hard and fast because their system didn't particularly prop up the system during the early stages of it. But most European countries propped up their economies as we did. But come this winter, all hell's going to break loose with economies.
Yeah, with what's going on in China, in Hong Kong, it's a mess everywhere. All the economies panicked when they saw the state of the lockdown. They've all jumped back out of that to try and get some life back into their economies. But as we've even seen today in the UK, we've started to lock down again, and as you know, Manchester and areas, and they've started pulling back from some of the things they've done. That's only going to get worse. They're nowhere near getting a handle on how to control this. They're just jumping from pillar to post. They're going from lock everything down, great, we've got the virus under control, to oh crap, look at the economy, shit, right, do something, right, okay, open everything up again, oh crap, the virus is gone again. They're just going to swing and round about it for the next 6-12 months. Unless someone comes up with a magic pill. Yeah. Do you guys know if the Geneva Watch Week is still happening?
Well, I got a mail, I had a friend call last week, and it looks like it's still, I wanted to go because I'm pretty close, and I wanted to organize with another friend of mine who owns a watch company. So we were going to go, and it's still on, but it surprises me. Me
too, especially since Switzerland has brought up a lot more restrictions this week.
So isn't there a second wave going on there?
The second wave is everywhere, really. We're starting with a second wave in Italy as well. Cases are going up now. Deaths are pretty much low, constant, just a few a day, but cases are growing. So it looks like the pandemic from the beginning. So I don't know, scary stuff.
I wonder if it's gonna go through. I mean, it's next month. It's what, in 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, right? It's mid-August.
No, it's 28th of August, I think.
Oh, it's the end of August. Okay, so it's like a month away.
Would you come? They wouldn't let you in.
Yeah, I was going to say
they would. I'm French.
Not gonna let me in.
Yeah, you all are staying there until you all fall out.
Blow over in Florida.
No, I think I can with my French passport. I can go anywhere.
They might try. It depends if they let you back into the States, though.
Depends on your order.
I have both.
Oh, okay. Well,
there's your trick. Travel out on the French and travel back on the American.
Yeah. So the worst is still to come, we think. There hasn't yet been any big casualties that I'm aware of actually in the watch industry. There's been a few at the periphery. Without wishing to slander anyone.
Swatch Group dropped quite a lot of employees a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no, I mean, yes, there's been lots of redundancies.
Brands, right?
No one's gone pop as yet, or there's not been any emergency takeovers or bailouts by the Swiss. We're not in quartz crisis territory, it would seem yet. The question is how long till we are?
But it looks like Edox is quite desperate.
By the way, did you guys hear what happened today?
All right, okay. But before you tell us, can you just confirm for yourself that This is being broadcast live on the internet. And you're about to tell us.
Live, it is.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
There's 12
if you
people,
feel
there's
it's
12
safe,
people watching. There's 12 people. So
yeah.
it could be, you know.
If you feel it's safe and you're prepared to take the lawsuit, then yes, Sophie, go ahead and tell us what happened.
Yeah,
today.
no, I'm gonna tell you because it's crazy. Chrono24 sent an email saying that they are raising fees for buyers to 7.5%.
Wow.
Right,
So
okay.
anyone who buys, not for the vendors, but for the buyers. So if you want to buy a watch on Chrono24 today, you have to pay 7.5%.
Isn't it the other way around?
I mean,
What was the fee before?
It was 6% for the seller. I sold something there.
Yeah, I do.
6 or 6.5 something for the seller.
For the buyer.
I mean, on the face of
weird.
it, on the face of it, though, think of it like this: on the face of it, it seems like a strange move, but their whole market's predicated on people selling via their platform. So if you remove listing fees, you encourage people to list. If people list things that people want, look, at the end of the day, people will pay double the value of a Rolex because they want to skip a waiting list. So a couple of percent isn't going to put them off. But if they put the fees up to bring more revenue in for them, for the sellers, it will put sellers off.
But I don't remember that the buyer was paying that kind of fee.
The buyer was
the
paying
dealer.
nothing. Yeah.
No, the
correct.
buyer was paying nothing, but that's what I'm saying. So there are options if they want to bring more revenue in and they increase the rates for the seller, they'll put sellers off, but they have to populate their site with sellers. So if you remove, so it's like eBay. How many people on eBay wait until free listing day? Lots of people because they wait.
7.5%, David.
Yeah, but I mean, I know, but would I ever buy a watch? No, with that? No, of course I wouldn't. But but remember, a lot of people who buy on that platform are already paying way over the odds for what something's actually worth.
But for a lot, it's not the case.
But you have to see that you're not actually paying the price that is advertised, right? You usually, I mean, you can
around with it,
speak about the price, and then you end up paying less than what is advertised.
Yeah,
and you won't know what it's really sold for in the listings because it will still be listed at that price publicly. Only for you as the seller and the buyer, you will see what you really paid. So it's a bit,
So what I'm seeing online is that it's a raise in the seller fee, which is actually consistent with eBay because they've recently raised their premiums for sellers, especially in the jewelry category.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think it's across the board.
So if anyone's concerned about what Sophie
it's become harder to sell
just
watches.
said, she can be reached at Sophie Rindler on Instagram and you can deal with your lawsuit there. So from one thing that we might not understand that well to something else, which I've never really understood the stuff that these guys produce, these model things. I don't get it. This is the MB&F.
Okay. Here's how you need to get it. It's not a clock or a watch. It's a piece of art. That's it.
Right, that holds your clock or watch. Or
I
just
mean,
a piece of art.
these things are really moving into kind of territory where they are pieces of art. That's what they are. You know, like if you look at the MB&F gallery, you know, they do way more than just clocks or watches. They do loads of other stuff as well, and most of it is tailored to a market with a huge amount of disposable income who like unusual trinkets. To be honest, you know, this isn't even remotely. I mean, 27,000. You know, if you think the Hodinkee travel clock was slightly expensive, that's an expensive bit of work.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't travel with either of them, but this, I mean, it is cool looking. I'm just not sure I understand it.
Have any of you seen though? I mean, you can tell what it was modelled on, can't you?
Yeah,
it looks like something from Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc.
Yeah, Monsters.
His name was Wazowski.
Exactly.
Goldorak.
But I like how his eye is basically a jewel, right? From watchmaking.
What's kind of funny about this, though?
It's styled on a jewel, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It looks
What's kind of funny about this,
but Rick, did you ever go to an MB&F gallery? Because if you want to spend, it's like
amazing.
I've never left Scotland. I'm not going to go to the MB&F gallery.
Amazing. You can spend hours there.
Mechanical stuff. I mean, it's really art.
Yeah.
Mechanical things. Actually, moving paintings or whatever you want to do. Or if you have a 3 by 5 meter table that you don't need, and you can put a really big moving fish on there that is all mechanically driven, that's the place to go. And it's really amazing. You can really spend hours there. It's lovely.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That's the kind of thing that exactly. That's the kind of thing there. I mean that's that's a family car. Let's be honest. But that's the kind of thing though that if you've got that level of disposable income, that's the kind of thing that's cool. You know, there is an artistic element to that. It's a cool piece.
And is there somebody specific that designs these within the kind of Max Pusser and Friends, or is it actually Max himself? Or
well, this one, if I remember rightly, their MB&F have done something similar to this before, but this one is then collabed with, I think it's 3 people collab. Yes, 3 collabs, isn't there? Yeah. So there's been a Lepi MB&F before, and this is Messina's one, which has been done in bronze, which is the first one they've done in bronze. But pretty much most of the clocks from MB&F are collabs of some description with another designer or with a theme.
Yeah. The funny thing about this though is, speaking of Messina Lab, is it's sort of like, besides the Unimatic he did, his go-to move is to take a watch and make it bronze, or make a product bronze. So really this is an existing product that he just decided, okay, bronze and green crystal. That's really the only difference between the other ones. So I just find it funny that he just puts these little subtle touches in, but gets like this sort of third design credit or whatever. But really he just picked a color palette at the end of the day.
You mean a Rolex move? You just change the color.
Bezel world.
20 grand and you go.
There we go. So this is obviously designed for a very specific, as Dave said, well-off person with disposable income, which brings us on to this subject. The small print contained within the likes of a Blog to Watch and Hodinkee. And I think as a result of the whole travel clock thing, people who, I mean, anybody that knows the website knows both these things are there, started to kind of look at the whole idea of, well, who are Hodinkee and a Blog to Watch? Who do they think their customers are? So this is Hodinkee's one.
See that Hodinkee one? When I read that, what did that say to anyone else? What that said to me was that's been written to aim it directly at venture capital.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So true. It's so pompous.
We want to be bought. Thank you.
That's literally written at venture capital to say, look at us. This is who we play with. Give us all your money. Because most venture capitalists having
I didn't think about
had some experience aren't particularly savvy to the detail. They just look at the top line and go, oh, I'll chuck, and those guys will chuck 6 figures at things, and 6 figures for them is literally like you having change in your pocket. It's just a gamble.
That's
just
crazy.
For the users.
I didn't think about this.
Exactly.
Is that why they're selling Apple
Watches? Exactly. That's all it is.
Apple come by us.
So, I mean, Dave obviously fits into this category, clearly, because you spend that kind of money on watches every week.
Well, maybe Scottish watches should buy Hodinkee.
I think we should do one of those David and Goliath moves, like borrowing a shed load of money from a Scottish bank.
We all chip in.
Inverse takeover.
I was going to say, let's get the Royal Bank of Scotland. They're not adverse to throwing money at things that they'll lose.
So
they're pretty good at it. They're really good at underwriting US property.
We have a bit of a reputation at that. And then this is a Blog to Watches, who now I'm not sure which is actually the bigger website in terms of readership.
Wow.
I think a Blog to Watch would probably claim that it's them in terms of pure traffic. But obviously they're not at the same level of engagement.
Just remember there, Sophie, you're not allowed to look at this site anymore because you're not an educated, well-travelled, high-earning man.
Oh, damn! Look at this! I didn't see that.
Wow.
I'm not allowed to swear. You know what? I'm not allowed to swear, but if I could, I would swear right now.
Wow, that's hitting all the current.
I didn't see that.
I wonder. Is there room enough for me to Tipex in here white just to?
Oh my god! Tag me. Copy paste and tag me on that one.
I mean, to be fair, they probably set this up 10 years ago and haven't looked at it since, but it probably should be
even 10 years ago, that was slightly on the cusp.
Yes, true.
Wow.
So there we go. That's who.
The other day,
we don't have this. We don't have this on the Scottish Watches site. We don't have a target audience.
This is the defense. It's men as in mankind.
They're also very their grammatical skill set's really poor as well. Ultra luxury is a bit of a kind of why do you need to put ultra before luxury when it actually means the same? Honestly, they need a good type copier.
Yeah. So there we go.
When I was last on Alexa.com, I believe I could be a little off the numbers. Hodinkee was ranked like 17,400th most popular website, and a blog to watch was 17,700.
Right.
But of course, that study that Ariel put out, that a blog to watch is the most influential, would have you thinking otherwise, unless you sort of read between the lines and see through it. Because I personally don't agree with the methodology they used for coming to that conclusion. Maybe he wants to defend it. I don't know, but
Never trust statistics. Never trust statistics driven by somebody about their own company ever.
Yeah, I'd said to Rolf, it's kind of like a tobacco company paying a doctor to put out a study.
Smoking is good.
Smoking is good for your lungs. So
yeah, the word hydroxychloroquine springs to mind.
I hope no one works for Boeing, but it's a bit like Boeing saying 737s are really safe.
It's just as well Arthur's not on the show today. Anyway, so we'll move it away from that gang to this. Let me just reshare. This little number just popped up.
One of those,
this is sweet.
Actually, I'll tell you a story about these. So basically, these were launched to the Swatch Club 2 days ago.
Yep.
There's four of them in total, but in the UK there's 4 pieces. There's 24 of each piece that have been signed by both of the artists.
Right.
So
and if you've got all 24 selling them now on Chrono 24 at an increased handling fee.
I may already have 4 of them. Yes.
But the thing is, this is something to do with Loch Ness.
That is that the Nessie one?
That's
the Nessie one. Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand what this has got to do with Loch Ness.
I don't see
it. It's Swatch. It's Swatch Watch. Abstract is the name of the game.
It's Loch Ness on an acid trip.
I was just thinking that.
Swatch Watch are the only company still to manage to get the proper ire of Mumsnet. To be fair.
Sorry, that's because they don't listen to our podcast.
But it's super fresh. It's really cute.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. I mean, 77 quid. Yeah, you can't really go wrong in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Other than the fact it'll keep you awake at night, because does the it tick? It certainly does at about 85 decibels. So
don't wear it in an airport.
You can pack it along with your Hodinkee travel clock. So
the other 3 pieces are quite cool as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've got access to them on here. I don't think I do. I would have to go.
Yeah, they're all on the site. Just go to the homepage.
Back, homepage.
Click Swatch. There you go.
This is them here. So is it Joanne or Yuan? In other words, is this a boy or a girl?
Joanne. They're British.
The British. Joanne. Oh, yeah. These are them here. There's a cat and there's what's this? A rhinoceros.
It's either a rhino or a unicorn. Yeah, who knows?
Unicorn. They remind me of La Californienne that lost the lawsuit with against Rolex.
Yeah, Californienne. That's it.
La Californienne.
Yeah, the colors are the pastel-like, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily for these guys, they can probably pay to defend themselves if they want.
Yes, that's true. So that then moves on. This is a company that is doing a Kickstarter, which we've all been quite taken by. It's an Irish brand called Solas, and who doesn't like a micro rotor? I think is basically the thing. This is a fairly cheap and cheerful on Kickstarter. A couple of you have come across this. What's everybody saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really gorgeous watch, especially for the money. I mean, obviously I haven't held one in the hand yet, but it's a 38 millimeter case and 44 millimeters lug to lug. So for me and my sort of smaller wrist, I think it's a perfect size. When I was talking to the founder on Instagram, he mentioned that this is in theory the model that he wants to release to sort of build a little more capital to put back into R&D and take complications even further. I think his end goal is to potentially release one day an affordable minute repeater, which if it's anything like this, I would be pretty curious to see how it functions and how it looks. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it looks cool. I've been in correspondence with the company owner as well, just discussing one or two things. Obviously, for our Scottish Watches limited editions, the full range that's going to come out in all of these micro brands any day now. But yeah,
how much is it? How much is it?
I think it's going to be 550 after Kickstarter UK. So what's that? $700.
I'm just trying to see as to what's on here.
I think it's going to be three. I think it's going to be 400 on Kickstarter and 550 UK after Kickstarter. I think
400 euros. Yeah.
There will be a few hundred.
There they go. There's the price.
Oh, no, euros then. So 500 UK.
Yeah.
Wow, this is very good price. That's insane.
There will be about, I think, 150 released on Kickstarter, and then after that, it'll go to the full production price.
Good for them.
I think it looks quite nice. The only thing that's swear wording my OCD is the sub-seconds. It's just why have they put it there? They've got a date window on it, so it's like it's just messing with my eyes. That either put it at 6 o'clock or put it at 9 o'clock.
With the date.
Yeah, I think to be fair, it would be better without the date for starters.
Yeah, definitely.
But that
tiny.
If they had no date, but they had the sub-seconds there, I could probably live with it. But if the date's there, you need the sub-seconds probably for me either at 9 or at 6 o'clock. But otherwise, though, it's a cool looking piece. For the money, you can't knock it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you could actually leave out the seconds completely. I think.
I dropped.
Yeah, I mean, to me that would look amazing without the sub-seconds or the date. Just
I agree. Like a plain, beautiful.
Very
nice.
like a Moser, really, clean.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, and again at that money, just because the movement is capable of doing date or sub-seconds doesn't mean you need to use it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But for a brand starting out, though, as much as we collectors like to not have a date, there are some people who, if a watch doesn't have a date, they're like, I'm not buying it. I'm not touching it.
But are any of those people the people who buy watches on Kickstarter?
Well, they might be the people that buy watches for less than $500.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a cool looking piece. It'd be nice to see it and finished, see what it looks like.
Good. So we have also had, it's actually been sitting on the agenda for a couple of weeks now. I'm just going to share this because this is the antithesis of the next one. This is absolutely not boring. And so we did have a discussion in the writers group about who are currently the most dull stroke exciting watch brands. I would certainly put these guys up as being a decent watch brand that also like to do things differently. So very quickly around the room, and we'll maybe deal with it in more detail after we've got the assessment of what everybody thinks. To you, of the major watch brands, who's just kind of like a bit dull at the moment?
Who what?
Of the major watch brands.
Of the major watch brands. This came out of a conversation that basically said that at the moment JLC were just a little bit dull.
Well, Rolex is pretty dull. I mean, Rolex is like
hard not to say Rolex.
I mean, it's not just now. It's been dull for like ages. Rolex is like the Lexus of watches. It's something that's well built, looks good and everything, but you just forget about it. I mean, you buy a Lexus, you put it in your garage and you never drive it. So, and I've got a Rolex and that's always in my safe. I never put it on my wrist, and it gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's something that's, it's got a lot of qualities, but excitingness is not one of those qualities. It's got, whatever heritage or, desirability, but it's not anything but exciting. So that really, I think they need to up their game a bit there because waiting lists.
Dave, you reckon they're all boring?
I think it's a bit. If you look at it on the grander scheme, I think pretty much every major brand, if you look how many SKUs they've got, the vast majority of it is just meh. And there's very little. They play the safe game. That's the game they have to play broadly. like if Omega, whether it's Omega, Rolex Group, anything from LVMH, any of them, to be fair, the only one actually, Zenith's got a few things that are a little bit more interesting than the average, I would say. They've got some boring stuff in there as well, but some of their mainstays of their range have got something that's a little bit different to it. But most of them are. There's not
Just
a
get
whole
a
lot of
talker.
exciting stuff.
Just get a talker. You'll get something that's
different.
different.
Like to be fair, if you look at a talker, if you look at a talker, you look at H White. Like if you look at some of the smaller brands, the thing about being boring is that most folk aren't offended by it, so they like it and they're nice. The thing about being adventurous is you will alienate a lot of people instantly because they'll just not like it. But it depends what you want out of a watch.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a car. It's like a car. The most boring brand in the world is Audi. Sorry, Rick. But but they are. I mean, they're well-made cars, but they're just boring. They all look like jelly molds. But people buy them because they're reliable and inoffensive.
The problem is the bigger the brand is.
Yeah. Sorry.
The bigger the brand is.
Or Ralph, who it was.
The bigger the brand is. Sorry, guys. The bigger the brand is, the more heritage to a certain extent is established. And this is right now the era of like Fotina and heritage and re-editions. And so it's too tempting to sort of reach into that back catalog and release something that is already an appealing aesthetic. Whereas brands like Gorilla don't necessarily have this huge back catalog to go to. So they constantly have to think of outside of the box designs and references to, try and tempt the consumer with.
Yeah.
I've seen that, the Gorilla that you just showed with all these, the wheels of these numbers. It reminds me of another brand, but I can't.
Urwerk.
Like Urwerk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. This is about a tenth of the price.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The thing is that one you just showed is a good looking watch. The name just.
Yeah, the name is awful, but the watch is cool.
Puts you off. What are you wearing?
I've got one of these in red, but I've just come across this. I think this is going to be rocking. Quite keen on that one. And as we bring the day to a close, I would just like to test everybody. So this is Tenet, not Tenant. Tenet, the film. Can anybody identify in the chat or on the show what this is? Because I've got the it's disappeared now.
That's a white screen, mate.
Yes, it is a white screen. It's loading.
Yeah,
it's loading very slowly.
It's ceramic.
I've clearly broken it for some reason. So that might need to not happen. But there is this watch. We just need to pause it on the live replay. Don't know why it's disappeared. Let's try reloading it.
So it wasn't black PVD.
It's not black PVD. It looks like something else, maybe from the Omega Swatch stable. I don't know if it's a Speedmaster.
Didn't they do something with Hamilton? Weren't they doing something with Hamilton?
Yes, yeah, the Hamilton limited edition, but it doesn't appear to be the Hamilton that's being worn in that particular shot. I cannot explain why it has disappeared, but it has. So we shall leave it at that. So any final thoughts? Anything anyone is particularly looking forward to in the next week or expecting to drop? Zach, you got anything you're predicting?
Honestly, I'm just looking forward to September, one, because it's my birthday that month, and also just because I want to see what Rolex has in store.
Oh, Rolex. So we should we start with Rolex predictions?
Something boring.
Just I was going to say, just
something boring.
Don't get excited. Whatever you do, you will be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious as an 1140-60 owner if they're going to upgrade the Submariner and discontinue the model. But usually the date comes first versus the regular.
I reckon it's going to be a Milgauss.
I have had somebody get in touch with us who claims that they will have the inside track when this all happens, but we'll see if that's the case. Sean, Sophie, Ralph, anything you're looking forward to in particular next week?
The only thing I'm looking for right now is to survive tomorrow's hurricane in Miami.
Oh, right, okay.
All right, cross your fingers.
Important.
Yeah.
All the best. And if you don't survive, where's your Daytona likely to be? Will it be in a safe? if it all goes horribly
this
wrong,
one will survive.
Right. So
I can tell you, it will survive.
And can we just have it public? Because I think if you broadcast something on YouTube, it counts as a public thing. Can you just tell us that you want your watch collection split equally between everybody here? If it all goes pear-shaped, so that's good. That's nice.
Should I start Ralph, a will?
Yes, a watch will.
Next week, probably nothing special happening for me. Sorry.
Good stuff.
Nothing interesting.
Dave, what are you buying next week?
Lego, mate.
Lego.
Oh, Lego's. It's all about Lego next week. All the official new adult kits get released next week. So.
All right. So what's coming up? I didn't know that was such
they've got thing. So they've just launched a new range of like plus 18 kits. So what have they got coming out next week? There was 3 kits, but one of them, believe it or not, has been pulled at the last minute, which I'll tell you why. Okay. But they've done a grand piano, which actually is fully automated and it'll play tunes and you can play it as well.
All right.
And it's amazing. And they've done the Sega SNES.
Yes.
They've made a full-size Sega SNES that opens with the cartridges, but with a full-size TV with Mario Kart, and it's automated, and Mario goes over the screen, jumping up and down, and all sorts of stuff. So there we go.
So are you buying both of these, or all 3 of them, and then that's?
I'm getting those 2. I'm getting those 2, but then the other one they were doing was a Bell Osprey. You know, the U.S. Marine Corps Osprey thing. They did that kit, and then they've pulled it. They were all distributed to all the stores, and they've pulled it at the last minute because a German peace movement has kicked off that Lego have militarized children by introducing a kit. Because the one they did was a search and rescue one, but because it's a military vehicle, the Germans have been jumping up and down, and Lego.
We are just trying to prevent the Danish from going where the Germans went before. I've been there twice. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, Well, it looks like a certain other country's following that path badly at the moment. Hopefully, an election will put pay to that.
Find. Okay. So here is the picture. Let me just get this up on the screen. So this is what you could have won, but has in fact been delayed.
It's not been delayed, it's been cancelled.
Oh, it's just been cancelled.
Oh wow.
Completely cancelled. No, that's not it.
Is that not it?
That's it there.
Is that the actual kit there? So there you go. So got that to look for. Somebody did buy me one of those Bugatti ones, but I've never built it. So there we have it.
This is for adults, right? This is for adults, so
yeah.
Why not?
Gigi and Derek, what's happening in your world this week? Anything exciting?
Nothing for me.
Really. Not really. No, I just hope the temperature goes down so I can start. Hope it rains. That's all.
Good stuff. Well, thank you then for joining us this week. That's been good. Enjoyed that. So it's as we normally tune off in the podcast, so we'll tune off in this. It's goodbye from me and goodbye from all of them.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.